Hi, I'm Nadia and I'm part of the education team at Caryl Baker Visage. Today I'm going to show you how to achieve your perfect, flawless complexion look by using my favorite makeup items at Caryl Baker Visage. So before we apply our foundation, I'm just going to show you our options of our face primer. We have our HD face primer, which is more mattifying for the skin. And then we have our Prime Perfection, which is more nourishing and hydrating for the skin. The purpose of actually using a primer prior to foundation is so that your foundation will go on a lot more smooth and it makes your foundation last much longer. So I'm going to be using our HD primer. It's pretty thick in texture, okay? And what you want to do is, especially for me, because I'm more of a combination dry skin, so I do experience a little bit more oil and shine throughout my T-zone, and the backs of my cheeks are a little bit more drier. So what I'm going to do to help modify my skin is I'm just going to apply the primer in my T-zone area. At home, you can use a foundation brush. As you can see here, I'm just dabbing it on with my fingertips, like so. And whenever you're working with makeup, you always want to work in a downwards motion. So the opposite of skincare. With skincare, you're working up. With makeup, you're working down. Then we get into our corrective concealers. At Caryl Baker Visage, we have a green, which is going to help to diminish any sort of redness that's within the skin. We have our yellow, which is going to help to camouflage any blue or purple undertones of the skin, especially around the eye area. And you'll see later on as I'm going to demonstrate it on myself. Then we have our lavender, which is going to help to reduce any sallowness tone of the skin. So now, one of my concerns definitely is, the darkness that's around my eye area. So to help reduce the bluish undertone in my skin, or underneath my eyes, I should say, I'm going to be using our yellow corrective concealer. Now at home, you can either extract it, which is what I'm going to do, or you can just take your concealer brush or any brush that you feel comfortable using and dip it into the pot, and I'll show you where exactly to apply it. So I like to put it on the back of my hand just because the product will be more durable and workable once it heats up with your body temperature. And I'm going to apply it directly underneath my eye. And you want to get the bulk of the product on the inner part of the eye just because that's where it deposits more darkness. And I like to just pat it into the skin. You never want to rub too hard around the eye area because that will promote fine lines and wrinkles. You can even use the tips of your fingers to sort of, spread the product around. Also with the warmth of your fingertips will help to spread the product along quite nicely. Corrective concealers can never be worn alone. You always have to put a concealer on top. And again, just patting it gently around the eye area. As far as our foundation collection is concerned, we have our BB cream, which is going to give you that light coverage of the skin. It's almost like a tinted moisturizer. Then we have our Mineral Matte Foundation, which is medium to heavy coverage. Great for someone who has more of a combination oily skin type because it is a cream to powder finish. It does have mineral-based ingredients within the product, so it's very healthy and nourishing for the skin. Last but not least, we have our Natural Finish Foundation, which is my fave for my skin type because I do have more of a combination dry skin. It's more hydrating and nourishing for the skin, and it's medium to heavy coverage. So when it comes to choosing your foundation, you just want to make sure what type of undertone that you do have. So there are different types of undertones. We have a cool undertone, which has hints of blue and red. That seeps through the skin. Then we have a warm undertone, which is a mixture of gold as well as a brown, like a tannish color undertone. And then we have a neutral undertone, which is a combination of the two. So I'm going to say that I'm more of a neutral undertone, so I have a combination of cool and warm. To test the right foundation for you, now again, I'm going to choose our Natural Finish from our Caryl Baker line just because it's best suited for my skin, because again, I'm more on the drier side. This is going to help to hydrate. So what I do is you're going to test 2 to 3 shades on your jawline, and you want to let it sit there for about 2 20 to 30 seconds. We all have a pH level composition within the skin, which may alter the coloring of the actual foundation itself. So to find your shade, I'm just going to apply just one little droplet on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to test it right along my jawline. Let that sit. I'll test another shade right beside my original shade that I applied. And you want to let it sit there, like I said, for about 20 to 30 seconds to see if it blends nicely within your neck. Okay, so now I'm going to test a third one, just because I'm a little unsure about the original two that I tested, just because my neck does seem a little bit lighter than my face. So you want to just let it sit there, and if you see this one here, which I believe is Shell, is turning a little bit on an orange tone. So the first and the third actually look pretty good. So with your foundation, all you need is, 2 to 3 pumps. I'm going to first apply it with my brush. I like to apply it in the T-zone area first. I like to use a stipple effect. And then I like to use my beauty blender to help blend the product in the skin. To create a little bit more coverage, what you can do, again, is just using a stipple motion. Perfect. Make sure that it's blended into your jawline perfectly. Make sure there's no ring around the ears. Some people like to use their fingertips to spread foundation, and that's okay. It's just personal preference. I just don't like to, just because I don't want to get my fingers all messy. Make sure you work your foundation into your hairline. And then I take my beauty blender. Some people like to kind of dampen it. You can do that. I don't dampen it. I just like to use it dry. And again, I just use a tapping method. It's called stippling. Make sure that it's blended into the skin, into the hairline. Now I'm going to conceal. We have 2 different types of concealers within our line. We have our Caryl Baker Camouflage concealer, which comes in a pot. And again, you can use your finger to apply it. You can use your brush. Then we have our Skin Renewing Concealer from Joe Maselli, which is my absolute fave because it does have anti-aging properties to it. So it's really going to help to smooth out, plump the skin tissue that's around my eye area. So as far as my under eyes is concerned, what I do is I just apply it underneath my eye area like so. Again, keeping the bulk or depositing the bulk of the product in through the inner part of the eye, because that's where most of the darkness sets in. And I'm just gonna let the product sit there because I feel like, once it's exposed to air, the product actually thickens up a little bit, so it gives me better coverage. Then you're gonna go around and take a look at any sort of characteristics that you see that you want to cover up. So I have a little bit of a blemish here, so I'm just gonna add a little bit here. Perfect. Now you can go straight in with your beauty blender to sort of blend it through. I'm gonna take my brush and just use a stipple motion. Again, be very careful when working around the eye area because we do have thinner skin around that area. And I love the Joe Maselli Skin Renewing Concealer because it has the anti-aging properties to it. So it really helps to smooth fine lines around the eye. It also helps to plump, which is something that I need because I'm quite hollow underneath my eye area. You can even apply concealer on your eyelids. Sometimes, most of the time, people have more red seeping through on their eyelids, so helping to camouflage that would be fantastic as well. That way you're creating a nice even canvas. Stipple in this area here where I applied my concealer to my blemish. Make sure that's blended in nicely. Perfect. As far as our powders go, we have two. We have our mineral pressed foundation, which can be used over your foundation or it can be used alone for more of a natural look. Again, it's mineral based, so again, it's very healthy for the skin. Then we have our blotting powder. So great for someone who has more of a combination oily skin. You can keep it inside your purse and it comes in a compact, so it's great to absorb any oils or shine that you experience throughout the day. Now that our foundation is applied, now we need to set it. And I'm gonna set it with our mineral pressed powder. What I love about this is that, again, like I said earlier on, you can use this either alone or you can use it on top of your foundation. It comes with a pad, so you can actually apply it that way. I particularly like to use my powder brush. It's a great compact. You can bring it anywhere with you. To apply your powder, you want to use a powder brush, swivel it into the product, and how I apply it is I dab it into the center and then I sweep it through using downward motions. Voila. To get your perfect color match, come visit one of our face spas at Caryl Baker Visage, and one of our face experts will be more than happy to color match your shade.